Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, the Strange Tales Build-A-Figure Blackheart Wave. Here we have Dracula, and I think this is one of the most popular figures in the wave. And definitely, I think, the most unique from a sculpting standpoint. So pretty excited for him. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got the Strange Tales logo down there at the bottom. We got the logo up at the top. See the Blackheart Build-A-Figure there. We get the side artwork of Dracula there. And then on the back of the package, we see him again. And the bio reads, "The legendary vampire Vlad Dracula rules over the undead, spreading violence and terror on his quest for power." You can see here the Blackheart Build-A-Figure piece, and we've looked at a fair amount of the figures. We've seen Moon Knight, Bloodstorm, Lilith, Brother Voodoo. We're on Dracula now. Next up will be Damon Hellstrom, and then we'll end up with the Helverine Weapon of Vengeance there before we look at Blackheart. So let's go ahead and get into it. I got this one from Big Bad Toy Store. It's actually in stock right now at Big Bad Toy Store. And then Entertainment Earth actually has the full case if you want all of it. And I think the double is Weapon of Vengeance. But if you use my link in the video description below and use the code MCU24, you get 10% off your order. So that is pretty cool. But anyway, Dracula, let's get him out of the box and take a look. Hey guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button now. Help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It turns out majority of my views come from those that are not subscribed. So I'd love to continue to see you to come back to check out my figure reviews so you can make the best decision when it comes to picking up your action figures. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Okay, so there is the Dracula figure out of the package, and he comes with the left arm to the Blackheart Build-A-Figure, so I am getting very excited for Blackheart. Look at that. He's all kinds of pokey and everything there, so that looks really good. He also comes with an alternate hand, and I thought Blackheart was going to come with fists, but it turns out he only has one fist, but he has this, like, pointing finger hand there, so I was like, wait, are those two of the same hands? Like, that's weird, but nope, they are different, but there it is. So Blackheart coming soon. He will be after Damon Hellstrom and then after the Weapon of Vengeance. But Dracula comes with a sword. He also comes with fists here. We can focus those in, so we got those fists. And then we have an alternate head sculpt, so when we get a closer look at the figure, we will see a closer look at the head sculpt as well. But here we go. Let's go ahead and zoom in now. Okay, so here's an up-close look at Dracula. So this is kind of the relaxed face, the stoic look there, and that looks pretty good. His eyes are cool. His eyes are red, so where our eyes are white, his is red, and then he's got like the yellow like pupil, right? So that's just kind of crazy looking. Looks pretty good. The screaming head sculpt is way better, and I'll pop that back on there in a little bit to show you guys. But the shading around his eyes is really cool. It's kind of got a dark color, almost looks a little reddish, and I like it. The digital face on there, it looks really good because it helps bring out the details kind of all out, like over here and then along his cheeks and then his lips. Nice details on there. Looks really good. The thing I hate though is he's got these gold earrings there. The paint on him is not great. As you can see there, you just see the white sides of the gold because it's just like the outside was painted. I really wish it would have kind of come over a little bit so you could see, you know, on those edges it doesn't look so bad. The hair looks pretty good. We get this nice bluish gray shading in there to kind of bring out the gray color of the hair, so that's a nice touch. But let's go ahead and swap out the head. You want to just get a firm grasp of it and yank it off. His head is on a dumbbell joint. The dumbbell, as you can see, is really high up there, and I don't know if that was to allow some additional motion, but it doesn't look like it moves a whole lot. That other head was kind of a pain to put on. I haven't yet put this one on, so I don't know if it goes on pretty easy. Oh, that pops on way easier than this one. This one was kind of tough on there, and I felt like it sat a little high. This one sits high too. As you can see, there's a little bit of gappage, but it doesn't seem as bad. And then looking at the earrings, these earrings were painted way better because you could see the edge is actually gold. There's a tiny bit of his skin tone there, but it's way better than the other one. So this head sculpt just so much better. I mean, just look at it. The teeth, the fangs, the really angry look. This is the one that's going to stay on the head sculpt for me. The hair looks a little poofier, as you can see there. Just a better head sculpt all around, in my opinion. Now, looking at the figure, we get some silver in here. And this is going to be, I guess, just like these armor pieces for the cape to go along with the armor plates that he has here as part of his suit. I forget. I know there's a name for those. I don't know what it's called, though. He's got single-jointed elbows because he's got some puffy... puffy sleeves there. These gauntlet pieces are pokey, like they're pretty hard plastic, as you can see, is indents my finger. But nice deep red in there, which looks pretty good. I wish the lower torso would have gotten that same kind of shine to it. Whoops. but it unfortunately does not. So nice shine up here in the gauntlets and his hands, but then right there, not so much. Even the armor of the legs and the feet kind of get it, not so much the kneecaps. So I wish the whole thing would have kind of had that same shine to it. I think that would have looked really good. But we only have this diaphragm cut. There's no waist swivel or anything on there. I guess diaphragm, it doesn't necessarily need it, but it just feels like we're not getting as much, room for movement there. Looking at the figure, the rest of it, it's all applied pretty cleanly. There's some fuzzy line work in here. One thing that's odd, the hip and the legs, these lower legs, the thigh pieces, those are red molded plastic, and then this dark grayish black is painted on. But on these hip pieces, it's the gray plastic and the red is painted on. And you can see that, like when you turn, you can see the underneath is the black, but on the leg, it's all the red. And they painted it. Well, I guess they painted some of the line on there. But one thing, you look, if here, some of that red's still in there because the black didn't quite get in the crevices of the muscle definition. We see that happen a lot of times, but it's really noticeable when you have a very dark color and a super bright color like the red. So I kind of hate that. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable for sure. Looking at the back of the figure there. He's got these spikes on his legs, and those are pretty sharp too. The same with the kneecaps. The kneecap ones are really sharp. So you want to be careful there. And then you got the boots. We have the ankle ball on there. I'm not a fan of the ankle ball because I feel like it's difficult to really get him to stand up straight. Like you have to position the feet a certain way, and they tend to want to droop. So far, I haven't had as many issues on this figure, but in the past, it's kind of been a thing. And I feel like the Gwenpool figure was one of the first to do it, and it was always kind of a problem there. But so far, so good. And then looking at the cape looks pretty good. It's just this dark grayish black color. It's kind of got this tattered look to it. There's no paint or anything on it. A little bit of paint, like some gray or something, to kind of show the tears and the tatterness of it, I think would have been cool. But it's sculpted nicely, some nice folds and wrinkles in it, so that is pretty good. It's fairly soft too. Like when you look at images of it, they have the studio images. They kind of do it to where it's like folded up. It doesn't really stay. So they probably use something and then like edited it out to do that. I was thinking, oh, that'd be pretty cool if it was pliable enough, but not enough for it to stay. So just a heads up on there. Looking at his sword, the sword looks pretty good, but I wish we would have gotten a silver paint for the blade. As of right now, this is that cheap plastic. Like it's very thin. It's basically translucent. Like if you have it in hand here, like I could see my finger coloring through the blade because it's just that cheap plastic. I hate it. I wish they could have done so they have this silver that they could do like for a blade, and that would have been awesome, right? Because look at how beautiful that looks on Lilith. But this, I hate when they do this. It cheaps it out. Silver paint would have been so much nicer for the blade. Yeah, I really wish they would have done that. They just added black for the hilt there. So that's all we've got. And then we have, his fists, of course, and these, the armor on the fists look really good. So that is Dracula. Now let's go ahead and check out his articulation. Okay, so Dracula's articulation, that dumbbell joint doesn't really allow him to get to do a whole lot. So he can't really look up. That and the hair would kind of get in the way. Oh, the hair swivels. I did not realize that the hair swiveled. Does it do that on both of them? Haha, it does. So actually, on the articulation part, so the hair does move around. So that is kind of cool. So can that help with him looking up? No, because they just didn't do the dumbbell joint quite right. Other companies can do it. Other figures can even do it some more, but that one is pretty bad. Can he look down somewhat? A little bit, not a whole lot, really. Full rotation in there, and you get some good pivot, so that is a plus. The cape does drape over his shoulders, so it's kind of difficult to get the arm out as far as you possibly can, but you can get it to go out that far pretty easily. You would be able to do a full rotation if that cape really wasn't in the way. You got the upper bicep swivel in there. Single jointed elbow gives you just over 90 degrees, so that works well. You could tell it's that deep cut hinge to allow good range of motion in there. And the good thing is it's pretty rounded here at the elbow, so it doesn't really look too bad. But it does have a flat edge there, which looks kind of ugly as long as you're not really looking at it. Wrists swivel and they do hinge. The right hand for the sword, the right grip, does have the vertical hinge, which is good. The left hand, it has a standard horizontal hinge, and the fists each have standard horizontal hinges on there. So the diaphragm cut on Dracula, he could tilt to his left that much. It's not a whole lot. He could tilt to his right that much there. That's not a whole lot. He can go back, not really a whole lot, as you can see there, and then he can come forward. Basically nothing. It feels like it didn't actually move. So the diaphragm, it continues to be a struggle. You get a swivel in there because there's no waist swivel of any kind. So diaphragm, big struggle. It's not as effective as we would really need it or want it to be. Legs go out full split, so that is pretty good. He can kick forward that far there. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Careful where you're grabbing it, because I'm grabbing the knees and I'm poking the hell out of my fingers. Double jointed knee gives you that much bend there. They are pinless, so it looks good there. And then again, the ankle ball, so you get a swivel at that ankle, and it allows for the foot to do an insane amount of hinge down. Good hinge up, but the armor of that boot, shin guard, kind of gets in the way. And then ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So articulation is just okay on Dracula, but he's best when standing there looking menacing and not trying to get him to move too much. Okay, so one thing that I did do, I had talked about how the cape, in those official studio images, the cape was flipped up and can hold. So I was kind of trying to do this with the Hasbro Pulse Flight Stand, and you can kind of do it where he's coming down with his sword. But to show you guys, you can actually get it to stay. You just really have to fold it up, especially right here in the back is most important. But you can kind of get it to stay that way. He kind of has like he's coming down. So that is actually really cool and does add a whole lot more fun to it. Not too shabby. Yeah, so because just trying out some stuff without the flight stand. Yeah, I mean, people have other things like, you use that wire that can hold it up. That, if you get a coat hanger and like adjust it. You could do that, and you can do some really cool stuff. So this is, a super basic way of me kind of doing something. But yeah, it adds a lot more fun than I had initially thought. So, definitely a fun one. Okay, so for some side-by-side comparisons, here we have Dracula next to Blade, the Vampire Hunter from the Mindless Ones Build-A-Figure wave. You can see Dracula is a bit taller than Blade, but they do look good side-by-side. And then next up from this same wave, we have the Vampire Storm, Blood Storm, there, and that looks pretty good. You can see Dracula is bigger than her there. But not only that, we do have another vampire, and that is going to be Morbius, the Living Vampire. So let's go ahead and place him there next to Dracula. Get it. Okay, there we go. So we have our vampires. So if we want to throw a Bloodstorm in there, if we want to put Blade back in there, and we got our vampires. That Jubilee figure isn't technically a vampire, but I kind of like that, that's like her vampire look. If that's something that you want to do, but there we go. So we have our vampires. We have two different versions of Blade. We have two different versions of Morbius. I didn't bring out the other Morbius, and I kind of hate this Blade figure, so I didn't really want to include it, but there we go. So our vampires in the Marvel Legends form. Okay, and then here we have Dracula and Lilith, not to be confused with the daughter of Dracula, Lilith. So different Lilith. They just share the name, but they are not the same. Okay, so here we have the Strange Tales Blackheart Build-A-Figure wave. So far, we've looked at Brother Voodoo, Lilith, Moon Knight, Bloodstorm, and now Dracula. You guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this Dracula figure? I think it looks great. The Screaming Head sculpt is so much better than this one. This one isn't bad, but that one is just really nice. The red, that deep red on there, which is nice. I wish the torso and the knee pads would have had that same little shine to it, but otherwise still looks pretty good. It is pretty limited in articulation, so that does suck. But you guys let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Help me reach my goal of 50,000. And as always, thank you for watching.